Alma and Amber were stunningly beautiful twin sisters, the kind of beauty that left an unforgettable impression on everyone who crossed their path. Their radiant smiles and graceful demeanor turned heads wherever they went, making it almost impossible for anyone to pass them without commenting on their striking appearance. Their beauty was so captivating that men would flock around them, seeking their attention and hoping for a chance to win their hearts. However, this constant attention didn't come without its challenges. It made their parents increasingly uneasy about their daughter's future. They worried that Alma and Amber's beauty, combined with their family's wealth and fame, might attract the wrong kind of people, those who sought personal gain rather than true love. Despite their privileged lives, Alma and Amber longed for something deeper. They yearned for a love that saw beyond their physical beauty, riches, and social status. They wanted someone who would cherish their hearts and souls, not just the dazzling image they presented to the world. The grand hall was alive with music, laughter, and the chatter of guests as Alma and Amber celebrated their 21st birthday in style. The event was nothing short of spectacular, with dancing, games, and heartfelt songs filling the air. Family and friends gathered around tables, enjoying the lavish feast and engaging in cheerful conversations. The twins, stunning in their matching evening gowns, floated gracefully through the crowd, attending to the few friends they could manage to greet amidst the bustling celebration. As the night unfolded, an unexpected turn of events captured everyone's attention. Two young men, tall, confident, and impeccably dressed, stepped forward from the crowd. Their presence was magnetic, and whispers rippled through the room as people recognized them as the sons of prominent personalities. The two men, Kingsley and Harry, walked boldly to the center of the hall, where the twins stood. Without hesitation, they knelt down on one knee before Alma and Amber, each holding a small velvet box. Gasps filled the room as the men opened the boxes to reveal exquisite diamond rings, their brilliance catching the light and sparkling like stars. Kingsley, with his eyes fixed on Alma, spoke first, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Alma, will you marry me?" Meanwhile, Harry, turning to Amber with equal sincerity, asked, "Amber, will you make me the happiest man alive and be my wife?" For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Some guests erupted into cheers, clapping and expressing their excitement. Others were too stunned to react, their faces reflecting shock and disbelief. All eyes turned to the twins, waiting with bated breath for their responses. Alma, her cheeks flushed with surprise, looked at Kingsley. After a brief pause, she nodded, her voice soft but clear. "Yes, I will marry you, Kingsley." The room buzzed with excitement as Amber, locking her gaze on Harry, gave her own answer, her tone steady yet emotional. "Yes, I will marry you." The room buzzed with excitement as Amber, locking her gaze on Harry, gave her own answer, her tone steady yet emotional. "Yes, I will marry you, Harry." Their parents, seated at the head table, exchanged startled glances. Their expressions betrayed their shock and unease. Caught completely off guard, they leaned closer to each other, whispering their thoughts. "What kind of audacity is this?" one muttered, while the other nodded in agreement, their minds racing with questions about the sudden proposals and their daughter's decisions. The room was abuzz with animated discussions. Some guests applauded the boldness of the young men, calling it a romantic and courageous act. Others speculated that the twins had been caught off guard, agreeing in the heat of the moment. Small groups formed as people debated the unexpected proposals, wondering how the parents would react and what this bold step meant for the twins' futures. Amidst the chatter and excitement, Alma and Amber stood side by side, their hands now adorned with the dazzling rings, their hearts beating rapidly as they tried to process the life-changing. Senator Adams, Kingsley's father, and Senator Evans, Harry's father, were overjoyed by their son's choices. The news of the twins' acceptance had filled them with pride and excitement. Wasting no time, the two influential men began discussing grand plans for the wedding events, envisioning a celebration that would reflect the prestige and honor of both families. Their enthusiasm was infectious as they informed the twins' parents of their intent to visit in 2 weeks to finalize all wedding arrangements and formalities. Meanwhile, preparations were also underway at the twins' home to receive Kingsley and Harry's families. The twins' father took a moment to speak privately with Alma and Amber, his tone gentle but firm. "Your choices are okay with me," he began, his eyes scanning their faces for any signs of hesitation. "But I need to be certain that you're not under any pressure or duress to make these decisions." Amber, always the more expressive of the two, smiled warmly and responded confidently, "Not at all, sir. I love Harry, and I'm sure about my decision." Alma, more reserved but equally certain, added with a soft smile, "Kingsley seems to be a kind and genuine man. I love him too, and I believe he will make a wonderful partner." Their mother, who had been quietly observing the exchange, stepped forward with a reassuring nod. "I'm here for you both," she said softly. "If there's anything you need to discuss, anything at all, don't hesitate to come to me privately." Alma and Amber exchanged a glance, comforted by their mother's supportive words. The upcoming events marked a significant milestone in their lives, and having their parents' support meant the world to them. As the days passed, the twins found themselves swept up in the whirlwind of planning and preparations. Invitations were drafted, venues discussed, and endless details debated. Despite the excitement, Alma and Amber remained grounded, holding on to their desire for a love that transcended wealth, status, and appearances. Their foreheads were burning with fever, and their pale, weak appearances sent waves of panic through the household. The once lively mansion was plunged into chaos as everyone scrambled to get them immediate medical attention. Their parents, visibly distressed, rushed the twins to the hospital, accompanied by close family members and a few staff. At the hospital, tension filled the air. The twins underwent a series of urgent tests. Their parents paced the waiting room, their hearts racing with anxiety. "Tomorrow is their big day," their father muttered, clenching his fists. "Why now? Why this?" Their mother, wringing her hands, whispered desperate prayers, her mind clouded with fear. By evening, devastating news swept through the mansion wildfire. Alma and Amber had congenital heart defects, holes in their hearts that had gone undetected since birth. The doctors, somber and apologetic, delivered the grim diagnosis. From all indications, they were born with this condition, one of the senior cardiologists explained, his tone grave. It has progressed silently over the years and severely damaged their hearts. They now have only about 5 years to live, and even those years will be fraught with challenges. They will need to rely on medication, constant monitoring, and possibly life support at times. The words hit their parents like a thunderbolt. Their father slumped into a chair, his head in his hands. While their mother broke down in tears, her sobs echoing through the sterile hospital room. "Oh, God," she cried, her voice trembling with anguish. "This is too much for me to bear. My daughters, my beautiful daughters." The news spread quickly, thanks to whispers among the hospital staff and the ever-watchful media. By nightfall, it was a hot topic on every news outlet and social media platform. Some sympathized with the twins, expressing pity for their plight. Others, envious of their fame and fortune, made cruel remarks. "At least now, those handsome men won't be flocking around them anymore," a few bitter voices sneered. The twins' parents sat with the doctors, trying to make sense of the sudden revelation. "How could we not have known?" their father asked, his voice thick with frustration and guilt. "They've always been healthy. Why now, on the eve of their big moment?" The doctors explained that the condition could have been asymptomatic for years, only to worsen under stress or other factors. "It's a cruel twist of fate," one of them admitted. "But we will do everything we can to manage their condition and ensure they are as comfortable as possible." As the twins rested in their hospital beds, unaware of the storm brewing around them, their parents made a silent vow to protect them at all costs. The glittering future they had envisioned for their daughters now seemed uncertain, overshadowed by the harsh reality of their fragile health. But even in their despair, they clung to a sliver of hope, determined to find a way to make the best of the time Alma and Amber had left. Despite the devastating diagnosis of the twins' health, their family decided to honor the arrangement to host the suitors' families as planned. Preparations were meticulously completed, with every detail in place to make their guests feel welcomed and respected. The table was set, the house was spotless, and the staff worked tirelessly to ensure everything was perfect for the meeting. The clock struck 11 a.m., the agreed-upon time for the visit, but there was no sign of Senators Adams or Evans or their families. Initially, the twins' parents assumed they were running late, but as the hours ticked by, their worrying grew. By mid-afternoon, they could no longer contain their anxiety and decided to call the senators. To their shock, none of their calls were answered, and the silence on the other end only deepened their unease. It wasn't until 5 p.m. that Harry and Kingsley arrived at the house, driving up in a sleek black car. The twins' parents, visibly relieved but confused, hurried to greet them. Their father, struggling to mask his concern, asked immediately, "What happened?" "We've been waiting for your families since morning. We were so worried." Harry, his face stern and eyes blazing with anger, didn't bother with pleasantries. "We're here to tell you something important," he said, his voice cold and sharp. Before the twins' parents could respond, Kingsley let out a loud, mocking laugh and said, "Let's not pretend anymore. We know the condition of your daughters." The room fell silent, the twins' parents frozen in shock. Kingsley continued, his tone dripping with disdain. "We've come to tell you that we are no longer interested in marrying your daughters. Whatever plans there were, forget them. Our parents send their regards." The words cut like a knife, leaving the twins' parents speechless. Their mother's mouth opened, as if to protest, but no sound came out. Their father, struggling to process the sudden betrayal, finally managed, What are you saying? After everything?" But before he could finish, Harry and Kingsley turned on their heels and stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind them. The sound echoed through the room, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. The twins' parents stood there, rooted to the spot, their minds racing. The betrayal and cruelty of the suitors and their families were more than they could bear. Tears welled up in their mother's eyes as she sank into a chair, her hands trembling. "How could they?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Unbeknownst to them, Alma and Amber, who had been resting upstairs, had overheard the entire exchange. Though their hearts were heavy with sadness, they also felt a strange sense of clarity. This rejection, as painful as it was, revealed the true nature of the men they had once thought they loved. And in that painful moment, they realized they were better off without them. One sunny afternoon, Alma and Amber were on their way to an appointment when their car unexpectedly broke down in the middle of a busy road. Frustrated and unsure of what to do, they stepped out and stood by the car, the heat of the sun bearing down on them. The sight of the twins, looking perplexed and stranded, caught the attention of a passing car. The vehicle slowed down and pulled over nearby. From the car, 4 men stepped out, their demeanor friendly and approachable. Alma and Amber exchanged a glance before nodding. "Yes, it would be our pleasure," Amber replied politely. 2 of the men, Elliot and Dan, stepped forward to inspect the car. Their confidence and skill were evident as they worked together to identify the problem. In no time, they had the car up and running. Alma and Amber were impressed by their efficiency and grateful for their help. "Thank you so much," Alma said, her smile genuine. "We really appreciate this." "It's no problem at all," Elliot replied, his eyes meeting Alma's briefly before he added, "I'm glad we could help." Dan, turning to Amber, said with a playful grin, "If you ladies ever need roadside assistance again, you know who to call." Elliot and Dan exchanged contact information with the twins, and over the following weeks, the 4 of them started spending time together. The men's genuine kindness and down-to-earth personalities were a breath of fresh air for Alma and Amber. Elliot was deep in the midst of a critical board meeting, his focus sharp as discussions about company strategies unfolded. Suddenly, his phone buzzed softly on the table. Glancing at the screen, he noticed a message from Alma. His stern expression softened, and a small smile appeared on his face as he discreetly opened the text. However, as he read the message, his smile vanished, replaced by a look of shock and disbelief. The message read, "Asking me to be your wife is the worst thing you can ever do. I've been diagnosed with a deadly disease and told I have a very short time to live. I deeply appreciate our friendship, but I must say no to your proposal for forever love. Please understand." Elliot's hands trembled as he reread the words. His heart pounded, and he could feel his throat tighten. He excused himself from the meeting, his mind racing with questions and fear. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Dan sat in his office, reviewing documents when his phone buzzed. Seeing Amber's name, he smiled, expecting a light-hearted message. But as he read her words, his smile faded, and his heart broke. "Dan, I can't accept your proposal. I've been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and the doctors have said I don't have long to live. You deserve someone who can give you a full and happy life, not someone with a ticking clock. Please don't hate me for this." Tears streamed down Don's face as he gripped his phone tightly. "No," he whispered, his voice cracking. "No, you're not dying. You can't die. I'll do whatever it takes to save you. You're my everything, Amber, my wife. Later that evening, Dan sat in a quiet corner of a restaurant, his head in his hands. He called Elliot, his voice shaky. "Elliot, can you meet me right now? I need to talk to you about something urgent." Elliot arrived a short while later, looking concerned. "What's going on, Dan?" The moment Elliot sat down, Dan broke down, his emotions spilling over. "Amber refused my proposal," he said, his voice choked with tears. "She said she's sick and dying. Elliot, I can't lose her. I can't. She's everything to me." Elliot's eyes widened in shock. "Wait, what?" "Alma sent me the same message," he said, his voice filled with disbelief. "Does this mean both of them have the same illness?" Dan looked at him, his face filled with anguish. "It must be," he said, "but I don't care, Elliot. I don't care what the doctors say. I love Amber, and I'll do whatever it takes to make sure she gets better. I can't imagine my life without her." Elliot nodded, his expression resolute. "I feel the same about Alma. When I told my parents, they promised their full support to help her in any way they can. We'll fight this together, Dan, whatever it takes. We're not letting them go." The two men sat in silence for a moment, their hearts heavy, but their determination unshaken. In that moment, they made a pact, not only to stand by Alma and Amber, but to do everything in their power to give them a chance at life and love. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, but their love was stronger than any obstacle, even one as daunting as this. For 5 days, Alma and Amber distanced themselves completely from their friends, including Elliot and Dave. They refused to answer calls, ignored messages, and instructed their receptionists to tell everyone they weren't in the office. Their sudden silence and avoidance caused immense worrying for Elliot and Dave, who grew more anxious with each passing day. After much deliberation, the two men decided to visit the twins' home on a Saturday to get answers. When they arrived at the grand mansion, they were greeted by the twins' parents, who were seated in the spacious sitting room. Though polite, the parents' demeanor was distant. After exchanging brief pleasantries, Elliot, unable to contain his concern, asked, "How are Alma and Amber? Are they home?" The twins' mother, her face somber, responded, "They're not fine. They've been hospitalized, and their condition is delicate. Furthermore, we don't want either of you around them. We cannot afford to have anything worsen their health. Please, for their sake, count them out of your lives." Her words struck both men like a thunderbolt. Dan, overwhelmed by emotion, stood up abruptly. His voice trembled as he said, "Mum, I understand your concerns, but I sincerely love Amber. This sickness, whatever it is, cannot and will not come between us. Please, allow me to be part of her life. I promise to give her all the support she needs, in every way I can." Elliot, who had been listening intently, added with equal passion, "Sir, ma'am, my love for Alma is not fleeting or superficial. It's deep and enduring. No obstacle, not even this illness, can diminish what I feel for her. Please, let me show her how much I love her and how real my commitment to her is." The twins' parents exchanged a glance, their stern expressions softening slightly. Finally, their father spoke, "Your words are sincere, and we can see that you genuinely care about our daughters. But before we allow you to see Alma and Amber, you must first return home and inform your own parents about their health conditions. This is not something to take lightly, and we want to ensure you have the full support of your families before proceeding." Elliot and Dave nodded solemnly, understanding the gravity of the request. "We will do that," Elliot said firmly. "Thank you for hearing us out, sir, ma'am. We'll return as soon as we've spoken to our parents." Dave echoed his agreement. "Thank you for giving us a chance. We'll be back soon." The twins' parents nodded, their expressions a mix of apprehension and hope, as they escorted Elliot and Dave to the door. As the two men walked out, their hearts were heavy but filled with determination. They were more resolved than ever to stand by Alma and Amber, no matter the challenges ahead. A few months later, a grand wedding ceremony was held in an opulent event hall adorned with lavish decorations. The venue buzzed with excitement and anticipation as dignitaries, governors, and other prominent figures from society graced the occasion. Among the distinguished guests was the president, whose presence added prestige to the already grand affair. In the midst of the celebrations, Harry and Kingsley, who had been living abroad, decided to attend out of curiosity. Word had reached them about the twins' wedding, and they wanted to see who had agreed to marry the Sicklers. As they entered the hall, their surprise was palpable when they noticed their own parents among the attendees, mingling and enjoying the event. Harry turned to Kingsley and muttered, "What are our parents doing here? They didn't even tell us they'd be attending." Kingsley shrugged, equally puzzled. "Maybe they're here out of respect. But I can't believe someone actually agreed to marry Alma and Amber after everything." The ceremony began, and the atmosphere was filled with love and joy. Alma and Amber, dressed in stunning wedding gowns, exchanged heartfelt vows with Elliot and Dave. The audience was captivated, their admiration for the couples evident in the warm applause that followed each vow. Elliot, the son of the founder of the renowned Kayla Manufacturing Company, and Dave, the son of the Senate President, stood proudly beside their brides, their love for them shining through their every word and gesture. After the vows, the twins' parents were invited to the podium to give a speech. The room fell silent as the twins' mother, radiating elegance, addressed the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady but emotional, "today is a day of immense joy for our family. Many of you know that Alma and Amber faced a challenging time recently. Rumors about their health spread far and wide, and while we chose not to clarify at the time, we feel it's important to share the truth with you now." She paused, letting her words sink in, then continued, "My daughters were never sick. They are whole and healthy. The truth is, they chose to disguise themselves as terminally ill to test the depth of the love they would receive. They wanted to be sure that whoever stood by them truly loved them for who they are, not for their beauty, wealth, or social standing." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the audience as the revelation sank in. Harry and Kingsley exchanged incredulous glances, their faces pale with shock and regret. Their parents, seated nearby, lowered their heads in shame. The twins' mother smiled warmly at Elliot and Dave. "Today, Alma and Amber's dream has come true. They have found partners who love them unconditionally, who see their worth beyond superficial attributes. We are grateful to welcome Elliot and Dave into our family, and we thank everyone here for celebrating this moment with us." The hall erupted in cheers and applause as the crowd celebrated the couple's love story. Some guests, however, wore expressions of regret, recalling their earlier judgments about the twins. In the midst of the celebration, Kingsley suddenly slumped to the floor, causing a commotion. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors delivered a grim diagnosis. Kingsley had blood cancer, and it was already in an advanced stage. As the news spread, Kingsley and his family faced the harsh judgment of society. People murmured about how cruel he had been to Alma and Amber, mocking his downfall as poetic justice. Harry, though spared the illness, bore the weight of guilt for his actions and regretted the choices he'd made. Meanwhile, Alma and Amber began their new lives as happily married women. Their love for Elliot and Dave deepened with each passing day, and their homes were filled with laughter, understanding, and mutual respect. The twins' story became a testament to the power of love, integrity, and the courage to seek genuine connections. Together, Alma and Amber lived there happily ever after, proving that true love transcends all tests and challenges.
Hello besties! What are your takeaways from this story? Please share them with us in the comment section. We'd love to hear your thoughts. There are even more interesting stories waiting for you on this channel. Check the description below for the links to those videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and become part of our amazing community.
Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. I love you.